Hey everybody, welcome back to yet another episode of Dayton Drama Queens. I know your question. How can it be Dayton Drama Queens when there's only one queen in this chair? Well, we just want to give a shout out to Philip. His show opened this week at the Orpheum Theater in New York City. We were very excited to be there to support Philip. And the Big Gay Jamboree is off and running, and it's going very, very well. So Philip, we miss you.
Hello, Dayton Drama Queens. It's Philip here, coming to you from New York City. I'm walking through the East Village up to my theater. We start previews this weekend and we're already getting some good buzz. So hopefully we have some good crowds and we're ready to open this thing. We're doing our last dress rehearsal tonight. So as you can see, we're walking up to the marquee.
I feel like I'm 18. It made me feel 15.
There we are. And I miss all of my friends in Dayton, but we're having a great time here in New York. So if you find your way out here, come see the show. Big Gay Jamboree.
There was a quick question on our emails about the Orpheum Theater. What do we know about it? Long-time theater, Lower East End, and things like Little Shop of Horrors got started there. Gypsy Rose Lee, that's one of the places she got her big start. So it's been around really a long time and a great history. And to know that Philip is part of that, we're so proud of you, my friend. But today, we're talking about something more local and something even more exciting. And that's Human Race Theater Company. And I have with me Emily Wells and Kappy Kilburn. Kappy's the executive director. And Emily is the artistic director.
That's right.
And they're here to talk a little bit about Human Race. So, first and foremost, how are things going at the Human Race these days?
Oh, we are kicking off our 39th season.
39.
And it is really wonderful to see the artist community, our community of supporters coming back into the theater this fall.
Yes.
It is going to be a great one this year. I'm really looking forward to it.
And you guys probably are starting to notice now that the whole COVID thing is kind of diminished to...
To some extent,
Okay.
We still have sort of protocol in place that we abide by, such as testing and masking and things like that for our production and staff team, so that we make sure that when we get to performances, everybody's as safe as possibly can be, and that it doesn't creep back into our existence.
Right.
But it's still in our world.
Yeah, it is a little bit in the world. I think you're right. We've heard that from pretty much everybody, but so good to know that theaters are booming and getting back to where they once were. So what do you guys feel like the people of Dayton need to know about Human Race right now and what's going on with the season and all those good things?
Oh my gosh, we have such a fun ride going through this season, starting with Miss Holmes and Ms. Watson, Apartment 2B. It's a feminist take on the Sherlock Holmes canon. So if you have watched Basil Rathbone back in Black and White days, or Robert Downey Jr., or Benedict Cumberbatch, who is one of my favorite Sherlocks ever.
For sure.
You're going to be in for a treat. And Holmes and Watson are played by two dynamic women in the cast. It's a small cast of 4. So we've got 2 other actors playing all the other parts and all the other people you're used to seeing with the Sherlock story.
That's great.
So it's going to be a lot of fun. And there's lots of little Easter eggs on the set and things like that. So it's going to be fun. The game is definitely afoot.
And familiar faces in the cast.
Yeah.
So some new faces, but some faces that our audiences have come to know and love and love to see on our stage.
What else is going to be part of this season?
We commissioned a holiday show. For the last couple of years, we've found our niche with adults only alternative holiday programming.
Love that.
So it's great for a night out with the friends, get some drinks in the lobby before the show, have a great time. This year we commissioned one because I was looking for another one to add to our series, and I was having a hard time finding one. So playwrights, pay attention. And we can commission one that is a 3-character sort of sex comedy.
Oh, wow.
So it's a lot of fun. Sharon, who is Frosty the Snowman's wife, she finds out that he's up to no good and shows up to the North Pole and hijinks ensue. So, it's going to be a wild night at the theater.
That's fun. That's
Yeah.
really fun.
So that's going to be great.
Yeah.
Then in February, we have a really thought-provoking drama called A Distinct Society.
Okay.
That's a new play set at a real place, which is a library on the U.S.-Canada border. So it's going to ask some really thought-provoking questions about the morality around borders and what that means, because it's two family members who are separated by this border, and this is the place that they use to meet.
I see.
It's
about
poignant.
community and family and what that separation might mean.
Okay.
And the people who are working that place and what quandaries they face in the course of the play. So really, really interesting. And then, oh my gosh, so excited. The spring, it wouldn't be spring without Camelot.
Oh, Camelot.
Which we're affectionately calling Camelittle.
Camelittle.
Because it is a cast reduction of 8. So there's Guinevere and then everyone else around Guinevere, which is
That's
awesome.
What a great little take on that.
Yeah.
David Lee, who was the showrunner on shows like Frasier and some of those real hot sitcoms in the day, has a long love of classic musical theater. And so I was fortunate to be able to work with him at the Pasadena Playhouse, and he would bring these gems with permission to sort of take a fresh look at them. And Camelot was one of them. And he looked at, we don't lose the specter or the magic of the story. We don't lose anything of that myth and legend and love triangle. But it's tightened. You don't lose any of the songs. So all of what we love about the piece is there, but it's tightened into this real crystal clear version of it. Yes. So we're thrilled to be able to bring it here.
That's
and
so
it
amazing.
suits our space so well too. Live music ensemble of about 6 musicians and everything like that. So we're really looking forward to doing that in May. And then our final show of the season, which has the most mystery with its visual artwork, because there is this specter of death in the artwork.
Okay, yeah.
But it's a comedy. It's a dark comedy. It's about a bunch of high school friends who are getting together for their 20th high school reunion and all that comes with it.
Oh my gosh.
The who did what, the who said what, and you weren't there for that, and all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
So
and we've all lived, most of us have lived through these.
yeah, that's right. That's right.
And stopped going to reunions because of it.
Exactly.
So that's called The Comeuppance, and it's by Brandon Jacob Jenkins.
Okay.
And he just won the Tony and the Pulitzer
Wow.
for Appropriate, which was on Broadway this past season.
That I've heard of, right?
And he, I think, has also been tapped as the book writer for the new Prince musical.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So getting his Purple Rain on and whatnot.
yeah.
So I'm really excited for that show.
This is what I think people love about the human race. You guys, it's like a spectrum of different kinds of things. You take risks. It's not all the standard fare.
That's right.
But there's always a little bit of something people are like, I do recognize a little bit of this one.
Yep.
So is that purposeful? Is that what you guys do when you put this all together?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It takes me about 10 months to put a season together.
Okay.
I read a lot.
Yeah.
My artistic engagement committee reads about half to a third of what I read.
Okay.
So, and then we discuss them. We meet monthly and talk about the plays and how they might work together and what we might need to be addressing as a community right now.
Yeah.
And how those themes might work to support that. And then it's like magic sauce that goes on at the very end.
Yes.
That we find the things that will work together.
See, and I think people always wonder, how does this all come to
Yeah.
pass? So that's kind of cool.
But also keeping in mind, Emily touched on it, what are the conversations the community wants to be having, or what are the needs of the community, and how do we fit into framing that conversation or encouraging those conversations and bringing people together to be able to share an experience that might reframe their way of thinking or open up new relationships and new conversations. But have fun while we're doing it.
Yeah.
My
My favorite thing is hearing about the conversations that people have in the car ride on the way home.
For sure.
When they come out of our shows, whatever it is, whether it's a comedy or a drama or something that is very topical, if they're talking, then we're doing the right thing.
Yes. Well, that's true. And I think what I love about Dayton is we're so exposed. There's so much to the arts in Dayton, Ohio. One way or the other, you're going to get a piece of that. And I think that's important. And,
and keeping the entire sort of ecosystem we all rise when we work together, but we have a unique role in the kind of work that we do in that all the companies do and what they bring, what their focus of material is, and what their audiences get to experience. So you could be a subscriber to everything, and you're getting something different at all the arts organizations and stuff like that. So it's part of what made me want to move to Dayton when I got offered this job. Was I wasn't going to miss anything from New York City because it was all happening here.
Yeah,
and proud to be a part of leading part of that.
When you say to people, Dayton has an opera. What? A Philharmonic. What? A ballet. They're like, all of those things are in Dayton. All those things are in Dayton.
And a homegrown professional theater. All of the theater companies that are building and creating the shows here.
Yes, it's really truly amazing for such a, I don't want to say a small city, but that's what we are.
That's what we are, and that's okay.
Own it.
That's okay.
It's absolutely the truth. So how did you guys end up in Dayton? I got to know. I love these stories. I really do.
You start.
I'll start because October 8th is my 6th anniversry.
Oh, wow.
So I'm looking forward to celebrating.
Get the champagne out.
We'll get the sparkling seltzer out. But yes. The lemonade. My father grew up in Middletown.
Okay.
So I spent a lot of time in and around the area. Okay. I saw my first baseball game at the Cincinnati Reds. My grandfather made sure we came up to the Air Force Museum every single time we came to visit. Yeah. I remember going when it was one
little building.
Yeah, one building.
Yes.
And I now enjoy taking my dad to it now that it's 5 or 6 or whatever it's about to be. So I knew the area, and I'd spent a lot of time in the Midwest, but I was in New York City, having finished graduate school, working in commercial theater off Broadway, but was looking for the right not-for-profit home for me. Yes. And I wanted one that was committed to the community that it was in. I wanted one that was committed to taking risks on the work that it was doing, looking at fresh stories, working with artists in the area instead of importing everything. Yes. And I came across the job posting for the Human Race Theater Company. And when you see that company name, you can't help but go, I'm going to check this out.
Yes.
And I really liked what I saw. So I applied. And then kept working on the show that I was working on at the time, which was a ginormous Grateful Dead musical at the time.
My goodness.
And which was a whole different world.
Jam band.
Yeah. And after a little while, heard back, and they were like, we're checking in. Are you still interested? We've sort of put everything in place to be able to move forward. And I came out, I went through the interview process. I came out and really liked what I saw, not only of the Human Race Theater Company, but of this community. And it felt like returning home. There's also the fun inside story that my dad happened to be out here the weekend before my final interview for his high school reunion because he comes back.
Cracks me up.
Yeah, he comes back every 5 years. He was out here last summer for his 65th high school reunion, and we all went down to Middletown for that. But he was here for it. And I mentioned that I was interviewing with this company, and we realized we were going to sort of cross paths and not see each other. And after he went to the Air Force Museum and before he went in and checked in the hotel, he's like, I'm going to go check out this company that Kappy's been telling me about. And put it in his little Garmin GPS on his Nokia flip phone. And drove by, buzzed in. Somebody let him in. He gave himself a tour of the whole building, checked out the theater, and then wandered to the front offices on the 3rd floor.
Yes.
And there were 2 people in there. He didn't know who they were. And he stepped in the door and he said, hello. A young woman named Kappy Kilburn's coming in next week to interview. I am her father. Total Darth Vader, I am your father kind of moment. And then he sat down and chatted with him for like 15, 20 minutes. And then when he checked into the hotel, he called me and he's like, okay, you're going to love the people. You're going to love the theater. It's a great, beautiful space. It's really downtown. I think it's going to be fantastic. So knock it out of the park next week when you're out there. But he couldn't remember who he'd talked to.
Oh.
So when I arrived 3 days later for my interview, my first meeting was with the staff, and I was like, can somebody please tell me who my father introduced himself to? But it was sort of an icebreaker because the first question I got from everybody is, why would you leave New York City for Dayton?
Yes.
Right.
And I to this day, I'm like, I get the question, but I want to be the one that goes, because Dayton's better. Yeah. Dayton's the best. Yeah. but being able to tell the story
Yes.
of my dad's visitation and my background with the community really helped sort of break that ice for people understanding that I would be able to adjust here and that I would be able to make this home and that I would become a Daytonian.
And you've done it.
And I've done
You've
it.
done it. I mean, I feel like the community's really, truly embraced you, Kappy.
I feel that way, and I'm really grateful for that.
Because I think people, even like behind the scenes or those of us
Yeah.
in other theater groups, you know, you guys have such a great reputation. Both of you. And I think
Thank
that's
you.
key to all of that. So, Emily, how did you get here?
Oh my goodness.
I got lucky.
So had spent the bulk of my professional career as a freelancer. I lived in New York City for 10 years. I went to grad school, took myself to grad school and paid those dues.
Yeah.
And then freelanced around the country for another 10 years.
Okay.
My very first full-time job was after I had been freelancing for almost 25 years. And that was at Houston Grand Opera in Houston, Texas.
Okay.
And I was producing new opera, community programs related to the main stage stuff, doing digital opera before it became necessary during COVID. And all different kinds of programming. And I was ready to move on. Most of my projects had gone through their life cycle and were coming to an end. And there was some significant leadership changes that were happening. And I was like, okay, I feel like the time is right.
Yeah.
I've gotten out of this job what I set forth to do. And I thought my next step was going to be the associate artistic director coming back to my home medium of theater. Had a nice visit with my friends in Operaland, but was ready to come back to theater. And I thought for sure it was going to be associate artistic director, just based on my experience and time and all of those things. Then Kappy and I had met each other over 10 years ago
In Los Angeles.
in Los Angeles at Directors Lab West, and had stayed sort of peripherally in contact over the last decade or so. And I saw that she posted the job for Kevin's replacement after his retirement.
Kevin Moore, everyone.
Kevin Moore.
Legendary in
Yep.
Dayton, Ohio.
And I was like, I read the job description, and I don't know, I'm sure others have experienced this where you just get goosebumps and you feel like that's me.
Yes.
That to a
They
T.
wrote, yes. They wrote
To a
that for
T.
me.
They wrote that for me.
Yep.
So I reached out to Kappy and I said, hey, I think I might be who you're looking for. We had a casual conversation for like an hour where we just kind of caught up on what I had been doing and what she was looking for in a new artistic
This
director.
was just coming out of the pandemic. We'd just gone back into production.
Okay.
Yep. And she invited me to apply, and so I did. And then ensued the longest 6-month wait of my life, with the exception of maybe having my daughter. I think it was waiting with that much anticipation.
Pregnancy of the job.
And finally, a couple days after Christmas, later that year, Kappy called and said, will you come with us to
awesome.
Dayton? And
I was sitting in the parking lot of a laundromat.
and
I was like, now
out
would be a really good time to call.
helping my daughter learn how to ride her bike. And
that's awesome.
in Houston, of course, in December, it's like
Yes.
75 degrees.
And I know we talked about this in the original episode. It's all about connection and
That's right.
relationships, whatever.
It
you do,
is.
it's
It
connection.
is.
Well, and I was really thrilled with how it all worked out, and grateful to Kevin for
Yes.
his involvement in the process. And he and I had started talking about what he would like his retirement to look like and his transition to look like. So we were able to plan it around his schedule and make the process of the search and the offer work to fit in that, so that just like I was blessed to have 3 years with Kevin at my side to transition and pass that baton and the institutional knowledge and the community connections and all that to me, he was then able to give the rest of that season to Emily in the same way. And then we were able to celebrate him. And then the two of us
It's really
generous
rare.
figuring it out
It's
moving forward.
really rare that an artistic leadership change goes as smoothly as this one did, because ego almost always gets in the way.
I've
Creatives,
never
we're
seen it go
creatives,
this well before.
And
Wow.
to have those 5 months with Kevin was really, really wonderful. Just to ask questions. And in fact, I have a question to ask him right now. So,
Yeah.
Kevin, you'll see an email from me later.
It's coming.
But just to have that resource and support network, and to demonstrate to the community that this transition has his support as well.
Right.
So I think that's been really special.
And that's then enabled us to be able to look at what are the next, as we're starting our 39th season, what are the next 40 years for this organization, and set that path with the new leadership and move forward and plan accordingly, because everybody from the founding to the transition, did so much work to be able to enable this organization to do that. And so we're the organization and its leadership are on really solid footing right now to be able to plan for that.
That's great.
Next generation or that future.
Right. That's what it's all about.
That's right.
Planting the seeds all the time.
That's right.
Yep.
That's right.
Yes. Well, you guys, listen, I just want to thank you both so much for being here. I know it goes quick. Our little 20 minutes.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
You know it. We also want to thank Square One Salon and Spa, who is our major sponsor.
Yay! And my stylist.
Yeah, look at all.
Not the stylist today, but my haircut. I clipped it. Sorry.
Anyway, make sure you go to Dayton Drama Queens at gmail.com if you have questions or anything else. Kappy, Emily, they're on their way with Human Race Theater. Thank you all so much for joining us.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Josh.
Check us out. It's been so much fun. We'll see you again.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.